Reddit, what did your parents teach you that turned out to be completely wrong? Don't make that face, it'll stay like that. Joke's on them. I turned out hideous. Your fault for making an ugly face when the wind changed. When I get smarter, does my brain grow bigger? Yes. But what if it gets too big? What if it doesn't fit in my skull anymore? That's how people become retarded. You see kids, Einstein mastered the controlling of brain size so he didn't become a retard. Holy frick, this is the best one in the thread. I was heading to the store to pick up some rat poison when my wife told me to be sure to get the stuff in the yellow box. She was so emphatic that I had to ask why, and she said that the yellow box makes the mice sick and want to go outside, and die. I said, no, it only makes them sick. And it's then she realized that her mother had told a tender-hearted little girl that lie to protect her. My wife teared up and I felt horrible breaking the news to her. It's been 20 years and I still tease her mercilessly about it. You should tell her swans can be gay. I was told the ice cream truck was just a big van truck thing that drove around playing music. I didn't realize it also sold ice cream until I was around 10. They probably saved lots of money though. I was told some of the trucks are just adults who will steal kids and chop them up. Oh, except the ones my parents know. They can spot real ice cream trucks and the fake ones. They taught my brother and me never to speak at the dining table when we had company, unless spoken to first. Thus, we never learned basic diner conversation skills. Shut up, I'm eating. My dad told me that the reason he made me do anything that I didn't want to do, go to be, brush my teeth, etc., it was because the Parents Association made him do those things, and if I didn't do them then he would lose his parents' license and I would be sold into slavery. Holy crap, that is actually genius. This way he was not the villain and he told you what to do. That Moleskine notebooks are so expensive because they're made from actual moles. Thanks, Mum. My mom taught me that the rumble strips on the side of the highway were braille so blind people could drive. I gotta give her credit on that one. Money, if you can finance it, you can afford it, Dad. That sleeping with a fan on is not bad for your health. Source, I'm Korean. South Korea, where you can ride your motorcycle at full speed down the sidewalk but a fan will kill you. Black people do not come from when you use too much hot water in the shower. It turns out that it is not the case that the sky is blue because it is reflecting the color of the oceans. No matter how good my friends are, I can't trust them not to steal my wallet. Holy cow, Mom, what kind of crappy friends did you have? It never even occurs to me to put my wallet away when I have friends around. If I had to that, they definitely wouldn't be my friends. That they are always right and to never question them. I will teach my kids that everyone makes mistakes, even me. I got the don't question me also. Ruined 20 years of my life. I didn't learn how to think for myself until after I had moved out, When I had to start using corticosteroid ointments for my eczema, my mom told me to be careful because they would have the same effect as normal steroids. She is a nurse. If I went too close to small lakes and such without any adults around, I risked getting killed by Nokken. Nokken is a creature in Nordic folklore that lives in small bodies of water and lures people, especially children close by, playing a fiddle, and when they get close enough he grabs them and drowns them. You could also get invaded by Germany. There's that too. No, Dad, car airbags are not full of popcorn, so if you crash you have something to eat until help arrives. No, Dad, the ice cream truck is not playing Greensleeves because it's out of ice cream. No, Dad, the guy from number 87 was not a genie, he was a Sikh, and he got really offended when 5-year-old me asked him about granting wishes. No, Dad, they didn't make frisbees illegal, you got it stuck on the roof. My father thinks he's hilarious. My dad taught me to aim for the back of the rim. So, are we talking about basketball or? My parents are Jehovah's Witnesses. My entire childhood was a lie. Happy birthdays. When I was very young, I asked my mom how long songs on the radio were. Looking back now, I realized she wasn't paying attention and just blindly said 15 minutes. It screwed with my perception of time as a little kid a whole heck of a lot. Flattery will get you nowhere. Sorry, mom, but it actually seems to be the opposite. My mum told me flattery will get you everywhere. This was after some guy I know mistook her for my then girlfriend. Dinosaurs never existed, that's why the fossils in museums look like either paper mache or plaster. All these people finding fossils are being tricked by the devil. Also, everything about evolution is a man-made lie. Most displays in museums actually are plaster. Fossilized bones are heavy and fragile, so they don't risk them by making models. That you have to eat everything on your plate and people who take drugs for depression are weak. Personally, getting help for clinical depression was the best thing I've ever done for myself. Never feel weak for having to ask for help. Antidepressants can change your life. I could write many books on the horror and insanity that was my childhood, but there is one thing that I've been thinking about lately, and this seems like the place to unload. Even if no one sees it at this point, my parents always acted like, and frequently outright told me that I was embarrassing, socially awkward, couldn't take hints, read social cues, or understand subcontext. I made friends with different kids in different social circles in school, and I was pretty frequently complimented on my knowledge and wit by adults other than my parents. So it was pretty upsetting and confusing to be constantly told by my folks that I should be ashamed of myself for what I thought were successful social interactions after the fact. The thing is, now that I'm an adult, I can clearly see how bad they themselves are at social interaction. They think it's cute to say offensive things, then repeat themselves again and again when they don't get the positive response they were expecting. They won't allow anyone to change the conversation away from what they want to talk about, give backhanded compliments and thinly veiled insults, then later wonder why the recipient doesn't like them. They bury coded meaning so deeply into what they say that no one would possibly be able to infer the message they are trying to get across, and they will later throw a fit about that person's inability to read between the lines. I'm not too worried about my social skills anymore. There weren't demons in my Pokemon cards, and that burning them was pointless. Also, that Satan doesn't live in Japan. Source: now live in Japan, have not seen Satan. Somebody hasn't seen the devil is a part-timer. My father taught me to get out there and be aggressive and be assertive, but don't step on any toes or say anything that might pee anyone off. I'm in my 60s and I'm still trying to figure that one out. In other words, hold your ground and defend yourself when people are attacking you, but never start it. When girls act flirty with you, that means they're into you. That's pretty obvious, Dad, but thanks. When girls completely ignore you, that also means they're into you. Are you sure? Just by everything in this thread, I learned something very important. Don't be afraid to tell your kids I don't know. That the moon in the sky during the day is just a reflection of the actual moon. That's no moon. My dad always told me that anyone who isn't white is lazy, a thief, and can never be trusted. Also, that they never have to do any real work because they get a free ride for not being white. Nice, Dad. Real freaking nice. I think I've seen your dad on Reddit. Yeesh. He has a lot of accounts. If you rub your eyes with your hands enough, they'll eventually fall out. I still can't rub my eyes. How to raise children. Beatings, deprivation, emotional abuse, and constant fear are no way for a child to be raised. Taking notes. An impossible standard of perfection in a spouse. I understand that one should be discerning, but nobody is perfect and small flaws are okay to overlook if that person is a positive and supportive influence in your life. That you're supposed to be treated horribly by your bosses, and you can't complain or else you'll lose everything and never get hired again. For instance, my mom would have us do labor. One time, I had just graduated high school. She had me hand sand and stain the back fence for a total of $60. It took me a week, and I wasn't allowed to use any electrical tools, or take breaks longer than 15 minutes twice a day in 105-degree heat. When I complained, I was fired, kicked out, and told to get used to the real world. That all those job hunting techniques from the 60s to the 80s still work in the modern day. You know, things like showing up in person and asking straight up for a job or at least an application, calling to check multiple times after the application is put in, etc. They came of age in incredibly small towns where everyone knew everyone, and in my dad's case, his family name held a lot of clout in said town. So he could just up and walk into the hardware store, ask for a job, and they'd offer him full-time at twice minimum wage on the spot. Followed their advice. The people who didn't just direct me to apply online and wait for them to call nearly banned me from their stores and restaurants. Other gems from them, outside of something like schizophrenia. If you have mental illness, anxiety etc., you just need to get over it. I was also forced to finish everything on my plate often growing up, even if I hated it or was full. Only thing that kept me from getting obese were dance classes, and I've been struggling as an adult and only just now have gotten it under control. It's amazing the amount of people who still suggest those job hunting techniques. They really don't work now, it's nearly all online. Put your money in the bank now and by the time you're ready for college it will have accumulated a significant amount of interest. There was this book in elementary school about putting in a penny in the bank, and in years, when you're older, around 40 or so, it becomes $1 million. Well, not anymore. I've got a couple good ones. Wind came from this huge fan right outside of the city. I wanted to be the person that turns on the fan when I grew up until I was 6. The shaking in the house, a washer machine that was unbalanced, was the day of the week changing. The gumballs at stores restaurants are made from putting sugar in a cow's lip and leaving it there for years. To discourage me from asking for a quarter, my dad convinced my brother that his real name was Jose Jamanul, Jose Manuel. It was all fun and games until my mom lost him in the Winn-Dixie and didn't recognize the name being called over the intercom. My brother was 4, with red hair and freckles. There's a couple more that I can't remember right now. Pelicans want to be petted. Go pet it, Dad said. The thing tried to swallow my arm. Pelicans do not want to be petted. Well, my mom is a nurse, and was constantly trying to feed me extremely expired medication. I know that a lot of times it'll still actually work okay, or at least not hurt you. People tell me this every time I mention it, but the dates I'm talking about are just ridiculous. For example, when I was 16 or 17 my mom tried to give me Pepto-Bismol that expired the year I was born. It's like, Mom, that crap is milky as frick. Maybe if it were a pill I'd trust you, but ain't no way I'm drinking a milky, fluid medication that expired in the fricking 80s. And she got pee when I threw the bottle away later in the day. It's been there for 20 years and IT probably costs like $6. It'll be alright, Mom. You don't deserve it. It's still kind of hard not to think like that about myself. Vodka goes bad once opened, so you have to drink it all in one sitting. This is a weird one. My dad taught me that if the clock in your car, this was analog days, is incorrect, you can't reset it to the correct time. There's a mechanism inside the clock that recognizes if it's reset and attempts to compensate for whatever caused it to be incorrect in the first place, and those mechanisms were famously messed up. So you could wind up messing up your clock forever. I wish I could ask him if he really believed that or if, as seems more likely, he was fricking with me. Use men for money and to better yourself. Stealing is okay. Responsibilities are for other people to deal with. Also don't worry about credit score, job history, your health, or helping anyone but yourself. Drinking and driving is fine. Offer physical intimacy to get out of tickets, and never be a snitch. The list goes on. I should consider therapy probably. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Frick that. Broken bones heal. Hearts stay broken. In the 3rd grade my teacher asked why our classmate was crying. The little girl said that one of the boys was making fun of her. He yells, "Sticks and stones may break your bones but words will never." And she stops him screaming back, "Words do hurt." We all got silent. She cried, and I felt really bad for her. Trust us, we know what we're doing. You have been visited by the chunk of good fortune. Like this post to enable good fortune for 26 minutes. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check out another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.